Hi, and once again, a very warm welcome to SES. My name is Indy Singh. Today, I'll be just going through a very brief video with you guys, just bringing you an update on the current travel restrictions and any new information that we can pass on to you. I know my colleague Herman has had a brief chat with everyone. I think it was towards the end of last week. Today, I'll just be recapping on that and just giving a bit more information. My video today will be in English, so just let us know if that's actually better for you guys. It makes it slightly easier for me, but other than that, I just thought we'd give it a shot and we'd keep it into totally English today. And first and foremost, let me just start with again reinforcing and adding to the update that Herman brought us last week. Canada has made it slightly easier for Indian students and visa holders to travel to Canada at the moment. We know there were issues. We heard from students prior to the 7th of September, having issues with traveling via South American countries and Mexico, which were kind of the only viable routes at the time, with tickets being available and pricing and everything coming into that. So certain students were experiencing really long delays. For example, in Mexico, there were students that were suffering 48 hours, I think it was, delays. And we understand that this is one of the first times that these students are probably traveling, and even that on an international level, it can be daunting for them, even though everything was resolved and all the students are now in Canada and about to begin or started their studies already. With the latest updates, what's now become available is you can travel, or travel has been allowed via the UAE, and so Indian students can now travel from India itself, mainly from Delhi, and fly out to the UAE, maybe Dubai airport, and then from there continue via a linking flight onto Canada. Just a few things to bear in mind regarding that. Same conditions still apply. You still need your travel documentation, so you need to make sure you've got a valid study permit or a travel visa, your passport, valid tickets. On top of that, you need to make sure that you're fully vaccinated. Covishield is recognised by the Canadian government, and that is one of the authorised vaccinations in India that's available at the moment, and as long as you've had your second dose and it's been 14 days or longer since you've had it and your proposed travel date, that should be fine. Just a quick note, make sure that everyone can update and make sure you've got the app available on your smartphones, which is Arrivecan. On there, there's required information that you need to upload so that the concerned authorities, immigration authorities in Canada, can have all the information to hand. They'll ask for your travel dates. You also need to upload your vaccination certificate on there as well. Just make sure you've got that downloaded on your phone and update all the necessary information on there, as well as your negative COVID report within 72 hours of your proposed travel and arrival into Canada. So just make sure that that's already done. One of the stipulations is you will need another negative report once you land in this case, if it's the UAE, which we recommend, and it's the easier and faster route at the moment. So make sure that once you're there, you will need to take another molecular COVID-19 molecular test and make sure that's negative, and then that will be valid and you can actually carry on flying out to Canada from there. Other than that, it's pretty much back to service as normal. So that's the update that we wanted to bring regarding Canada. If there's any other updates, i.e. once and if direct flights are allowed and once they commence, we'll also bring you more information regarding that. The second thing I wanted to touch on was news about the Australian side of it, because I know there's a lot of our students particularly and other students that wanted an update on that. There is positive news, to be fair. I'll start with not so much negative, but the status quo at the moment. Nothing much has changed. So students who are currently on student visas but are still didn't manage to fly out prior and are currently studying in India will need to continue to study online in India. Their visa is still valid. It's just unfortunately at the moment there are no flights into or out of Australia. That's just not just for Indian students. That's a global thing, that a decision that Australia has taken since pretty much day one of this pandemic outbreak. Now there has been, should I say, some positive news on the front in terms of when we can expect changes and how fast we can expect changes to this rule. A couple of days ago, it was announced by the Australian government after talks were held between Indian government officials and the Australian counterparts, that Australia is looking forward to and very much interested in resuming ties and economic ties, which means that they're looking forward to, again, starting work with employers and employees travelling to and fro from countries, and also trade agreements between India and Australia itself, which also means that this includes and is also part of the student package that Australia has been promoting for quite a few years now. So that is expected, which is the good news. So we're expecting that probably in about January for the next update to come around. But that's positive news in terms of Australia and both India are looking to basically get off to a flying start. So as soon as Australia makes the decision to open up again, we can see things going back to normal pretty fast. Again, for students that are interested in applying to Australia, we still recommend you do so, because at the moment the procedure is pretty much exactly the same. Visas are still being granted as long as you meet all the specified criteria. It's just the ability to fly and study in person in Australia at the moment that's not particularly open at the moment. But again, like I said, we're hopeful that in the new year things should change and go back to normal, and students will be allowed to travel once again back into Australia. So we have just a couple of days ago received a visa that was accepted for one of our students, and they will be starting their classes, I think, within the next week or so online. So like I said, the visa application for students is still applicable and still valid as long as you meet all the requirements, as we know for Australia. If you need more updates on that, just get in touch with us. We'll give you the latest in terms of the requirements for Australian study visas, but that's the positive on that. So it's not all doom and gloom. I think it is, like I said, it is looking up. We will keep you guys informed of all the latest news and updates that happen around the pandemic. So it's looking good for Canada, which is a step in the right direction. We can see things starting to move along in Australia as well. And with the UK, we know that's pretty much back to normal-ish, as we can expect in the current pandemic, where student visas are being granted and flights are available and you are allowed to travel, and obviously universities are open and teaching in person there in the UK. Just a word of caution, I know a lot of students were asking, they were thinking that the UK's shut down or the visas aren't being granted there. They still are. Again, it's following on from another video that I'll be updating within the next couple of days regarding options available for students and how countries are being selected. It's very important to remember that countries are not negative in decision making, but they're being selective. As long as you meet the criteria, your visa will be granted. And it's bearing in mind, and it's worth bearing in mind, that the UK's criteria is different compared to Canada, and Canada is different compared to the UK and compared to other countries such as Australia. Everyone has their own unique processing criteria. So the UK is very much still granting visas, but like I said, you need to be very selective in terms of what visas are going to be granted. We know for sure that students that are eligible and are good candidates are still able to apply for degrees and post-graduation courses. It's just students that are probably lacking on the IELTS front slightly, or the English marks aren't there, or there's a larger gap, or study marks for current study aren't up to mark, then obviously it's quite reasonable to expect countries not to be positive in granting those kind of visas. As long as for any country you meet the requirements, visas are still being granted, and especially with Canada and the UK, travel is still being allowed, and with Australia we hope to see an update soon in terms of students being allowed back to travel. So yeah, that's pretty much about it really, guys. So if you liked it, please like our video, obviously. Please click and subscribe to our YouTube channel, as well as our social media on Insta and on our Facebook. We'll bring you guys regular updates with any new information regarding the immigration sector, or more importantly, we like to concentrate on the education sector, in international education that affects all the students that are looking to further their studies from India to other countries. So once again, thank you guys. Look forward to seeing you guys next time.